Oh, that's how you start a podcast.
It's a good way to intro.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
I am unwritten, can't read my mind.
I'm going to come in as the absolute boomer.
I can
just
tell
like,
Dano just really knows this one.
I'm the absolute boomer just being like, music just used to be better, you know?
Yeah.
Music just used to be.
Heck with the 90s, early 2000s. Damon, this is you. This is you.
Standing at the bank page before you open up the dirty window.
Let the sun illuminate
I don't know the words.
that you could not find. Reaching for something in the distance, so close you can almost taste it. Release your inhibitions.
Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you. Only you can let it in. No one else can speak the words on your lips. Feel yourself with words for you.
Live your life with
Bounce by the
I'm Sydney Sweeney. I'm Sydney Sweeney.
All right, wrap it up.
Welcome to the It's Just Coffee podcast, everyone.
Welcome. I'm Rohan Cooke.
And I'm Kirk Pearson.
And
It's Just Coffee.
And I cannot wait to do a live pod so that I can just come out to that blaring, 5 people sitting there, just me dancing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if for copyright purposes we can actually have that in, but, you know.
It'd be funny if it just cuts to us saying that. Oh, man, how good's that?
Yeah.
There's just nothing before.
Few moments earlier.
A few moments earlier. Is that Natasha?
That's Natasha Bedingfield, is it?
Bedingfield.
Well, we better introduce today's guest, who is Damien Coe of Coe Coe. So welcome to the podcast.
hello.
This is going to be a absolute vibes podcast.
Absolute vibes. I'm very excited to get into it. I've got a few funny segments lined up. A little bit of a teaser. There may be a prank call coming up.
There may be.
That'll be at the end of the pod, so stay tuned for that.
Well, to give you a bit of a preamble here, the first part of the podcast is going to be somewhat serious. Then we might have a very silly finish. So, I mean...
Yeah, somewhat serious. It'll be a nice interview, but it will also be ridiculous.
Just
I
like
can
in the
feel.
bedroom.
All right. It's already started.
Somewhat serious at the start, just with a ridiculous ending.
Okay. Well,
bad.
we usually start the podcast off with a bit of coffee news. So are you okay if we get started with some coffee news and get
Let's
straight
do it.
into it? All right, Liam. Part 1 of the coffee news. So Whitehorse Coffee in Sydney have won the overall award for Golden Bean Australia.
Whoa.
So this year's
Good
Golden
on.
Bean.
Good way.
But I seem to recall we announced some news about, I think it was Haven Specialty Coffee earlier in the year having won this same award.
Yeah.
So we're doing it twice a year.
Twice a year. The Bean of the Year.
The
twice
annual
a year.
Golden Bean Award that happens twice a year. I don't know. I probably should have checked my sources on
Well,
that.
there was 2 mice in one year, so who knows? It feels like the coffee industry is just trying to do more and more.
We're cramming a few in,
Was there really?
double down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't even aware of that, but okay.
Or maybe it's like within a 1 year, like within the same financial year or something like that.
And then news piece number 2. So you recall a few weeks ago we spoke to Nick Percy of Nomad Coffee Group, and they do some of the work roasting for Aldi Coffee. Aldi has also taken out an award at this year's Golden Bean. The Lazio blend has taken out the overall in the franchise category. So, yeah.
It makes sense. It's just the top of the bottom.
So, we had that reel that was, our most viral reel yet about cafes in Melbourne that use Aldi coffee. Did you know that happened?
Yes.
Yes. So, a lot of people that messaged me saying like, Kirk, who are the coffee cafes that use the Aldi coffee? I never disclose my sources,
except to me.
Can you
Up to
tell me
you.
after when we're not recording?
Yeah, I can tell you after.
we'll-
I'll tell you mine, you tell me yours,
Yep.
and then we'll get into
Done.
it from there. But that is all the coffee news I have for this week. So it's all to do with the Golden Bean Australia. But I feel like the Aldi one, that's probably the spiciest of all the news segments.
Yeah, absolutely. In the franchise kind of category, it makes sense. They're putting out a good product, making, I would assume, bare minimum margins on it. And that's kind of what Aldi's doing. It's that kind of Uniqlo model. Like Uniqlo compared to others, they're like, we're going to make really high quality shirts and sell them for dirt cheap and make a cent off all of them. But you know what? We're going to sell 1 billion of them. And we'll make 1 billion cents.
Well, and as we discussed on the podcast a few weeks ago with Nick, I actually went to the roastery and the roaster itself is the size of a house. Like it's huge. Roasts 600 kilos every 15 minutes or something. So yeah, they can pump it out.
You were just talking before the pod, which I think there's got to be something fun in this. The aux cord at the cafe. Now you were telling us if you started playing your Spotify, it would start playing at your cafe.
Yes.
Now, I don't want to like hurt your cafe, but I feel like a good reel for your new Kirk the barista would be setting up a hidden cam and just having something ridiculous pop onto that aux.
Well, why don't we put a song on now at the cafe? Like, what song do you guys want playing at the cafe? Just
What about like Limp Bizkit break stuff or something?
no. It can't be anything like this. Is my business.
We'll just put what are we singing last week? That
Vanessa Carlton.
Yeah, Vanessa
All right,
Carlton.
so
Just get some
1,000
Vanessa
Miles.
Carlton on there. That's a good one.
All right. Well, I'll put that on now.
You're about to get some good
right now,
reviews.
we're putting Vanessa Carlton on at the cafe, and I'll get a video of my stuff or something saying like what it was like when I started playing.
Yeah.
All right. So.
I also want to see if you get any texts in here.
It's now playing. It's now playing at the cafe. So we'll see. I'll text my manager Lexi, see if she
Has any cafe done that? I want like the karaoke cafe, or maybe not karaoke, but just like the Jukebox Cafe, where it's just like you can connect your Spotify and you're in the cafe and just queue up some songs.
Well, we used to have a iPad connected to the wall. We thought it'd be cool if people could like choose their songs, and it got shit pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, that is the downside with this. You always think these things are going to be a good idea, but you can't trust the general public. You just can't.
What was the worst thing that played off it?
I can't remember. Like people would try and be funny and put something stupid on, and like at Port Melbourne, as you know, you got to crawl underneath this thing, and if you're in the middle of the rush and there's this shocking song on, it just drives you mental. So we pulled that down, but yeah. Sorry to jump in there.
That's what you're here for. What do you mean?
This is a podcast, Damien. This is a podcast.
Everyone's sick of me and Kirk. They want you to jump in.
I'm so looking forward to the second half of this podcast. Let me just say, we got some good content coming for everyone. It may backfire. It may backfire spectacularly, but
now I've been told that you're very funny, so there's a lot of pressure coming into the pod here. How are you feeling? Do you think you're going to deliver on this funniness?
I don't know. I think the prank call. That's my specialty. I've been doing them every day since I was like 12. But
does everyone kind of catch you out? It's like, oh, this is Damien.
Well, no, I did one actually recently. I went to the Bobby Soda office, and we were just sitting around, and we decided to prank one of their co-workers and filmed it, and it was very fun. So,
are any of these PG-13 that you can share with us, or are we?
Yeah, no, it was fine. I ended up by just saying that because they do like canned drinks, and I just said that the labels were fucked on one of them, and that needed an answer out of you straight away to on what to do. And she shit herself. So
I had an ex-boss who, did I say this last week? I had an ex-boss who used to call me and like pretend that he'd like eaten the mushroom dish and had diarrhea. And I'd be like at the cafe, and they'd be like, I had your mushrooms and now I have diarrhea. Oh, I need to call an ambulance. And I'd be on the phone just like, oh my God, I don't know what to do.
Actually, one of our staff pranked me once when when you're the cafetto, like the chemical.
Oh yeah.
And he said that one of the customers like drank it and was sick.
That's not a funny prank. That's just horrifying.
Yeah.
Young people working at cafes are dealing with enough. They don't need to think that they've killed someone.
That's food grade stuff, though. You should be able to have a little bit, and it's fine. I think it's just buffer, which is like baking soda or bicarb soda. But
I think so.
They'll live. Anyway, good prank.
We'll try it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, kicking in here, I'm a bit of a behind the curtains on this because I was figuring it out. Do we want to give a bit of an introduction rundown, or are we going to do that and just implement it at the start? You're just going to paste it in?
Oh, like read out my little intro for Damien here? Okay, right. Well, behold, everyone. If you're a coffee enthusiast in Australia, your algorithm may have steered you in the direction of Damien Coe. Damo, as I like to call him, is one of the owners of Coe Coe, which he runs with his brother. Damo is an extrovert who has accomplished a lot in hospitality, having started his coffee career at none other than Starbucks. One standout thing about Damo's business is how everyone, both staff and customers alike, seem to be having the time of their lives. He is indeed a vibes guy. We're not bringing a guy like Damo on without getting up to some tomfoolery ourselves. So while you can expect to learn something in this podcast, you sure as hell better get ready to laugh. Welcome, Damien Coe.
Yeah. The second welcome. You're the first guest has got the double welcome.
Yeah, double
I
welcome.
love that.
Thank you.
But I also love hearing about that. Starbucks. Getting the start at Starbucks. Tell us, that was your first foray into the coffee world.
Yes. So I was completely lost, and I just always wanted to get into coffee. And it makes
sense that you walked into a Starbucks if you were lost.
Yeah.
I guess this is it.
And I just couldn't get a start anywhere. This was back in Brisbane. I'm from Brisbane originally. And that was the only place that would take me. And I worked at a shop there in a hospital. So it was insanely busy. And then worked there for about maybe 10 months or something. And then decided to move down here and give it a crack down here. So
what's it like working inside of Starbucks? Because I always hear that the wait times are actually quite long at Starbucks in America and stuff like that. What's it like working there?
It was pretty insane. Like it was because it was just so busy because in a hospital you've got nowhere else to go basically. So it's chaotic. Like it was good and bad. I learned a lot of good things, particularly like how to move quickly in a rush and stuff like that, particularly on a till because there's just so many people coming. Like I learned a lot of good things from there. But and the coffee side of things, I didn't really learn much.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you say that because do you still think that this piece of advice I have rings true? A lot of people kind of message being like, how do I get the start? Like if cafes hire me because I don't have experience, they don't want me on the machine, but I want to learn that and I don't know what to do. And I'm like, literally, even if it's for 6 months, go and work at a chain like a Starbucks or a coffee club or something like that because you learn speed, efficiencies, all those things. And then when you come to a better cafe, all of the best employees or baristas that I hired came from people that worked in chain places because they wanted to learn, but they were quick, efficient, and they would do stuff fast. And I thought that was like the best kind of training ground that you could find.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's like they're big on systems and like recipes and stuff too. Everyone's really good at following a recipe. And but I mean, getting a job in a cafe now, I mean, you walk in and you're a head barista.
Well, that's an interesting point because I think like this is one of the biggest pre and post COVID differences I reckon for specialty coffee. Like it used to be so hard to get a job at a specialty cafe and even get on the machine. I spent years trying to work myself up to that point, and then now it's totally different.
Yeah, I mean things like SUP and stuff as well. I mean, you can literally have a different person on the machine every day. So I mean, that's another conversation within itself. But
so SUP for those tuning in is like a labor hire app where someone basically says I'm available this day, and then a business will sort of select them and then pay them for that day. And So have you heard of the SUP?
No,
app?
I haven't. I remember when I was working back at 3 Bags, I was like, it was in the boom of apps, and I was like, I want to start an app called Rockstar where you can just put yourself up with a wage and people can just hire you around at different cafes.
That's
when
pretty
they
much
need
what
you.
it is, isn't it?
Yeah, well, essentially, But I think the guys
might be some money in it for you.
I think the founders of Loon Croissant actually developed that app.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's widely used. I funny story. I actually worked at Damo's venue before COVID on a SUP shift.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
were those rates a bit too high there? One shift and then he's out?
Well, I think it was one shift and then there was a pandemic. Yes. Is how it actually turned out.
Did you say Loon Croissant before?
Yes.
Now, this is just a sky dream, but it kind of brings me to something I was thinking about before. You know how they've got their big like temperature chamber thing in the middle of their place where it's like they're making all the croissants and doing that. One day, if it's one of your Project Zero cafes, just set us up a little glass observation booth in the middle of the cafe and have us just do the pod live.
Oh, that would be good.
Do you remember Band in a Bubble? Did you ever see that on Channel V?
Regurgitator, yes.
Back in the early 2000s, they got Regurgitator. They put him in a big glass bubble in Fed Square for a month and they couldn't leave it and they lived in it and they had to record an album while they lived in it.
Yes.
And everyone could just walk around and see him. It was like the first thing that was like live streamed 24/7.
Don't you remember that?
No, this is the first time I've heard about it.
Yeah, it was insane, wasn't it?
Yeah. And someone like climbed up onto the roof and broke in. There was like all this amazing drama to it.
I saw something Mr. Beast was doing where he's making people like live in a cube or something.
Oh, like 200 people in cubes or whoever stays the longest.
And whoever stays the longest wins some prize money or something.
But yeah, that was my little diversion. But that would be sick. A little, I feel like customers would love that too. If you were sitting in a cafe and you could see us right now in a little glass box recording the podcast.
We should. And I think we'll appear somewhere doing that, in the not too distant future. I thought you were going to say something about their Tim Tam croissant.
Oh.
They're doing a Tim Tam croissant right now.
With the cost of Tim Tams at the moment, that thing must be $20 a pop.
Well, I mean, these people are doing, $9, $10 croissants anyway. So, but still, Tim Tam croissant.
Have you seen all that drama with the Tim Tams and the cost?
Oh.
No.
So now it's $6 a packet in Coles for Tim Tams. In the UK, they're selling the same Tim Tams that are shipped over there for the equivalent of like $4.50 Australian. And everyone's like, what is happening with these big supermarkets now? Just rising the price on everything.
This is such an Australian thing to do.
It's
this
like
is such
insane
an Australian thing to do.
because there's a general inflation on stuff. All these bigger companies are like, great, we'll just inflate everything that doesn't need to be inflated and just skyrocket the prices. So there's been lots of TikToks and news stories about people like tracking down all the different Tim Tams. Ridiculous. And I want to do some Tim Tam slams.
Yeah.
So Tim Tams, Coles, whoever's doing it, lower them prices.
Yeah, lower the prices. Also for listeners and viewers abroad, Tim Tam's like an Australian national treasure, like a chocolate biscuit with a wafer in the middle.
Oh, and there's an amazing thing called a Tim Tam slam where you bite the end of each side of the Tim Tam and then you put it in your coffee and you use it as a straw. You suck and all the coffee goes through the Tim Tam and then it's like melted on the inside. Pop it in your mouth, just melts away.
It's like Oreos and milk, you know? It's that same level of enjoyment.
I've had both. I'd say Tim Tam's better than the Oreo.
Do you dip your croissant in your coffee?
I haven't done that personally. Have you?
No, it's gross, I reckon.
I dip it in a hot chocolate though.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I haven't, but I would. I feel like that practically and both functionally would work.
Yeah.
And like, flavor pairing wise, why
croissant
not?
in the coffee, very French, right? That's the French style of doing it. Just a little croissant in the morning, dip it in. Sorry, jumping back, I got a little sidetracked there. Just wanted to share my podcast booth idea.
Maybe you should, I've always wanted to do sorry to interrupt.
Shut up!
When I say I've always wanted to do it, I've thought about it once. It's like just to do a shift, see how long you can just keep working for.
The endless shift.
Yeah, so like
that could be a
24
Mr.
hours.
Beast challenge. How long can you serve coffee for?
A Ned Brockman barista edition.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you across what Ned Brockman's doing right now? He ran 1,600 kilometers, I think in 10 days or something.
Oh my God.
And I think he slept for like 3 hours a day or something, but that's like the Ned Brockman barista shift.
Yeah,
That's went some for the Forrest Gump stuff right there.
Yeah.
He went for the world record of 1,000 miles in 10 days.
He got it, didn't he?
No, he didn't, sadly.
Still, he finished it.
He finished it.
Damn.
Though.
Oh, so he
Not
did
good
it, but he
enough.
still wasn't as good as someone who did it 50 years ago. Well.
He's actually already completed it, but he went for the world record and he ended up raising over $2 million in those 10
Did
days.
he have to
Good
give
on
it all
him.
back because he failed?
You're terrible.
He was ready to give it back.
No, that is unbelievable. That is incredible. I've done definitely like 16 hours, 17 hours straight in hospitality.
Yeah, right.
So I reckon I could easily clock off the 24.
I own a business, and so it just happens. You just do those things,
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
which I'm sure you're well adept to as well.
What was
Yes.
that? It was something like 6 till 2. Does that make sense?
6
6 till
a.m.
2
till 2 a.m. Okay, that's a big one. That's
That
a
is-
particularly big one.
You've already done it, pretty much.
Yeah. I reckon, so I could clock off the 24, I reckon, easy.
Yeah,
and then we'll have
easy.
to see how although that was when I was a lot younger. Now, we had a podcast a few weeks ago. I don't know if you listened. This will be testing you to see how much you're staying on top of the podcast. We did a work from home episode where we were talking about the impact. He's quietly nodding. He hasn't listened. It's actually a prerequisite of the guest that you actually listen to the podcast.
Yeah, I was listening to the Lockie Ward one on the way here.
All right. On the way here.
Yeah, I like
Crap, I better listen to this and see what these guys talk about.
I like that.
No, that's not true.
No, we're doing an episode. It was a great episode. If you haven't listened, you should go back. The work from home episode, talking about the impact the pandemic had on the coffee industry and looking at it from different ways. Now, we even had some different listeners write in. We had Alex Wilson write in, and he kind of had a similar point to me of like, I think it's meant the pandemic has meant that locations have completely shifted up, but also the quality of what you have to do has to be super high because you need to become a destination. You can't just be a convenience kind of side. So coming out of that conversation that we've had, I just wanted to ask you, as someone who's running multiple venues and doing that, what impact did the pandemic have on you?
Well, two of our shops are in business areas, so it's had a big impact in terms of just the inconsistency. Like, we're still busy, but we're not as busy. We're not consistent, so you can't plan a roster. You just don't know when the rushes are coming. You don't know what day you're busy. Like, usually now Mondays and Fridays are quiet, but then sometimes you'll get smashed on a Friday because it really depends what that business is doing. So sometimes they'll have a big meeting on Friday, and obviously they're not going to tell your local cafe that everyone's coming in. So from that point of view, it used to be so easy to plan, like for our shops particularly. I mean, you could literally pick your rushes from, open till close. It'd go the whole way through. But, I mean, people's habits have changed. Like, you'd usually, people would get another coffee at 2:30, but now a lot of the people are finishing up now at 2, like 3 o'clock, because they'll just finish off the rest of their work from home. So it's just all over the place in terms of...
What a world. I love this. I'm just going to finish my work at home. No, you're not.
Yeah, I know.
You're just going home at 2 o'clock.
I mean,
Legendary move.
I'm not a big fan of it. I think obviously, because you've got businesses and you've got an interest in it, but I just don't think it's good for you to work from home and not really have any
It's a very
people interactions.
It's not something Damo could do, is it? Like you're a vibes guy. You've got to be in the store interacting with people.
And welcome back to a new segment of What Can Damo Do? So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about what Damo can't do. He's not going to be able to work from home.
Definitely not. I've tried it. Like, I've try and, because I do all the socials for our business and stuff. So I took some days from, doing that from home, and I would do nothing all day. And then my mind would start working at like 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know, that's probably just my personality.
Well, and let's talk about what it was like for you sort of before the pandemic, like when you and I met. So I think it was a few weeks before COVID had started. I was actually planning to go to Singapore and Jakarta for a pop-up with ye old Sub-Zero Coffee. We're repping the shirt today.
Repping the shirt today. It looks good. You look good, by the way.
Thank you. But the borders got shut. So I was like, well, there goes my plans. Lost a lot of money with that. I never got any money back for the hotels, the flights. So get travel insurance, folks, or get insurance for everything. Insure yourself for like waking up in the morning.
They weren't honouring that even with the pandemic and everything.
Well, because I booked through a third-party provider, there's like a loophole. So like I went through Webjet, and not like Qantas directly. And so that's like that was like an instant $10,000 down the toilet. So that sucked. So then I came and worked with you for that day, and then
you got 10,000.
They charged them $10,000
bucks. And I think that day the NBA had just shut down. We're just like everything just got a whole lot more real for us.
Definitely.
And then
was that the moment the pandemic was real for you, when LeBron James was like, I will not be playing?
It actually was.
The 10K loss wasn't enough. I mean, the NBA was what really drove it home for me. Yeah.
Because, things like things in the world happen all the time, and I was like, and I think a lot of it I was just like putting it at the back, like I was being a bit naive. But when you were like, they've just cancelled the NBA, I was like, what? Like that, they don't cancel sport for anything.
Yeah.
Remember Rudy Gobert going and touching all the microphones?
Yeah. And then he got COVID.
And then he got COVID and spread it to a bunch of teammates, and they really got the shits with him.
Yeah, he got traded after that, I think, didn't he?
He did.
I mean, for different reasons, plenty of reasons there. Yeah. But that, I mean, you say sports stops for nothing. It literally does, because they just took all the players, went to Disneyland and played the season out there.
Well, how about the UFC? They fully built a fight island in Abu Dhabi and just kept that thing going. And that was interesting.
That's awesome.
But the one thing that really interested me about that shift and working with you, I was talking to this guy, and he's like, I'm off to Bali next week. And I was like, I don't think you're going, mate. And then he looked at me and kind of made fun of me and said I was so ridiculous. And I think literally 2 days later, the whole country was locked down, and he did not go to Bali, is my understanding.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But I don't know. You never know, because we hired a chick that used to work for us, and she traveled the whole way through COVID.
How does that work?
So I don't know. I don't know how it works.
Some people just finesse it, hey? Yeah. It's just like that lady.
There's
that's
always
just,
loopholes.
Yeah, that is incredible finesse.
Did I tell you my amazing story of getting my flight back from overseas, from the US back to Australia during COVID?
No.
I went to book my flights, and it was like right at the peak. We'd all have to go into quarantine in Sydney and all this kind of stuff. And I looked at the flights, and an economy ticket back one way was 13,000 US. So what are we looking at there? Like 17,000 Australian or something like that for an economy seat. I was like, this is crazy. The lowest one I could find was like 12 and a half, something like that. And then I was like, if they're charging this much for economy, how much are they charging for business or first class? And so I click on the business link, and I go, how much are these tickets? 6,800. I go, what? And I go, this must be a mistake. I'm like, it says 6,800. I'm like, let me try to book. Let me rush in. I'm like, booking it. It goes through, books. Everyone must be looking at the economy. So the algorithm's like bumping up those flights and those flights. And when I flew back, I the whole time I'm like, they're going to pull me up here. They're going to be like, no, there's a mistake. Get on, get my little economy, my little business class suite with the little door that pulls shut, the little window going out, get in. And there was only 2 of us in business class. There was like 8 empty seats and the entire thing was full. I'm like, no one is clicking.
Imagine paying $13,000 for an economy class ticket while you paid whatever you paid.
Yeah,
and then they didn't get the free upgrade. They didn't get the free upgrade.
They didn't upgrade anyone. No one got moved up into those seats. Everyone just sat back there and I just lived it up in business class. They had a little soft serve ice cream sundae cart.
Damn.
So after dinner, they come back with a cart and they've got all the toppings. You're like, I have the ice cream, I have the vanilla, the chocolate, have some fudge, this, sprinkles. Unbelievable.
Man, I got to fly business one day.
Did you get shit faced?
No, it was coming back. I had a little champagne when you got on and had the wine with dinner and that, but it was nighttime. So it was like midnight kind of takeoff.
Yeah.
Had my little things. They gave me a cheese ball, watched a movie, fell asleep. This is the genius side of business class. Fell asleep and I slept for 10 hours. I woke up basically and they were like, we're just circling in, everyone getting ready as we're coming in for landing in the next hour.
That's perfect.
Sign your cards. I was like, I slept an entire overseas flight from the US to Australia. Unbelievable.
Wow.
And did you hotel quarantine when you got back?
I did. I was staying in Sydney. I kind of got lucky with it where it was like my hotel was, I was like 20th floor up in the Sydney Harbour looking out over the Sydney Bridge.
You really finessed it.
And I kind of got excited. It was kind of like, when you're on a plane, you're like excited to see like what the food's going to be. Like, is this going to be terrible or good? It's like every day was like a different thing of like what they would bring you up to your room and what you'd get.
It was 2 weeks, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2 weeks. It started getting long in the tooth on like day 9, day 10.
Do you have a Nintendo Switch with you or something?
So I had my PlayStation and a Nintendo Switch. So I dived into, I think at the time, bad review. I just played Cyberpunk. It just came out. So I played Cyberpunk, whatever number it is, while I was in there. Did a bit of that.
Was OnlyFans around then or?
Yeah, I filmed some OnlyFans for my account. Sorry. You didn't mean that, right? No. But yeah, it wasn't good, but I didn't have as bad of experience as I heard some other people have.
Yeah, right. I would go crazy, but
Yeah.
But
me, I would definitely go crazy.
I'm kind of interested because I worked in the hospitality industry well before all the pandemic happened and after. What was the difference? What was the experience like actually working in the cafe during the pandemic? What were the people like? What was the experience like?
It was crazy because it was like everyone had different opinions. Everyone was consuming different type of information. So everyone was just so divided on it. And particularly at the start, I remember they started to ban like keepcups, and the health organization said recommended to stop accepting them, and I didn't really care, like whatever, like just keep it going. But I said to this woman like we can't accept those anymore, and she just called me an idiot and like, you don't know what you're talking about. And
she was an expert, of course.
Well, yeah, and obviously, but it was just crazy. I was like, I'm just following what they saying. Like, and then, but yeah, it was crazy. Like some people.
I had someone do the same thing. I was working at a bagel shop on another sub shift, just before the lockdown began, and she threw her keep cup in a tantrum and just stormed out. Yeah, so
that's at least she's doing the right thing. The eco warrior, the literal eco warrior, throwing a keep cup.
She did one for the team there.
I had to stop a fight out the front of the shop once because like this guy.
Hold on, you got to tell this whole story for this one. This is good. This sounds good.
So he was like, this because some people are anti-maskers and whatever, blah blah blah. This guy walks in. Because you know how you always used to discuss the numbers, so you'd be like,
this many today,
yeah. And then this guy was just like, I hope Dan Andrews gets cancer, and then this one guy was like, that's he's just doing his job, blah blah blah. And then someone else comes and was like, why are you wearing a mask? They don't do anything. And then they sort of, ganged up on this other person, and I'd had to step out there and be like, guys, just like leave it, like just walk away,
Settle down.
settle down.
I love the why are you wearing a mask one where it's like, well, who cares if they're not coming at you? It's like, just let them do whatever they want.
Yeah, that was the mask thing was crazy, but it was just like it was weird for us because we're in like sort of, as I said, they're not like offices, but they're like industrial corporate areas. And I remember just one, I didn't serve a customer for like 5 hours. I just walked out the front, just sat on the sidewalk and just was just looking around, and it was just completely dead. And then all of a sudden one guy would turn up and just order a panini, and it was bizarre. But then there was also different types. Like then everyone got used to it for a little bit, and then that was sort of normal-ish. It was just a ride. It was crazy.
And one thing, just chiming in of like, you saying the woman was abusing you for not letting her use a keep cup, and you're just trying to enforce the law. This is a PSA for any customer out there that goes into a cafe and they're not happy with something, whether it be the price, the size of a portion, any of those things, and they want to take it out on the poor person working behind the till. They don't make the rules. They are just working there trying to get through the day. Leave them the hell alone. And if you've got a big issue, write an email to the company as you're going to boomer up there, just like me, booming out, tapping away on your keyboard. Stop taking it out on the poor young staff that are just trying to get through their day.
I'm going to add on to this. If you're really frustrated with the service you get at a cafe, or there's one like very minor thing that you don't like, don't leave a 1-star review on Google. Like what? Like I see this all the time. It's like, oh, they didn't have this, which I like. And then, all of a sudden every cafe has to have the same offering, which wasn't to your appeasement. And then you go leave a 1-star review.
But like, who's got the time for that? Even if I have a bad experience, I can't be fucked doing a 1-star review. Just if you really pisses you off that much, you DM them on,
Have you ever left a 1-star review?
No.
Have you?
I reckon in the early days I would have.
I have left a 1-star review.
Yeah. It's because it's the only weapon that you feel like you have when you've just been wronged so much.
Mine wasn't for a cafe or a food venue.
Yeah, anything. Yeah.
It was for bond clean. So, to get my bond that you leave for a rental. And it was the guys like, they were taking the piss. I was guaranteed bond clean. I didn't get my. It was a real hassle, so I left them a 1-star review.
Well, we saw this. My brother loves. He used probably not so much anymore, but he's really big on replying to them. I just leave them. But we got this 1-star review at our Yarraville shop, and we look at the photo, and it's Indian food. And he was complaining about something. It's like, do you look at the business you're reviewing and what they sell?
I got one of those straight out. It was the person lived in Ireland. And they're like, I looked up their location and saw that it was like a golden brown or whatever in their town. I'm like, this is, are you looking at the map? Are you paying any attention to what you're doing?
Yeah.
But question to you, what's yours ranking? Like, how do you use Google reviews? Like, what is your benchmark? Because I'm not too worried about like the super high rating. The number one thing that I'll look for generally is, I feel like I don't want it to be below, let's say like a 4.2 or 4.4 is like kind of a minimum. I feel like if you're falling below that.
4 stars is 80%. If you're doing a school test, 80% is pretty good.
Yeah. But I feel like most ways, I feel like people either want to write the positive or the negative, and that's kind of where it stands. But I feel like if you're getting into your 3s, you could be in a bit of trouble with like what you're doing there. The next thing I look for is the amount of reviews next to it. So if you're like 4.4 and you're like 1,200 reviews, you're like, okay, great. The next thing, if you're worried about it, is I will look, but it's kind of funny where you look at the 1-star reviews and you want to be like, okay, we're reading 1-star reviews here, like they spat in my coffee, they poisoned me. Or the 1-star reviews like, I got there at 4 and they said they were out of the sandwich I wanted. You're like, oh, this idiot. Like,
Yeah.
Pity for you. I mean, that was just so terrible. They had the sandwich you didn't want.
Yeah, but how do you is Google reviews your like main thing that you'd go to kind of check, or how do you suss out the vibe?
Personally, I never use them, but my girlfriend's like all about it. She's like, oh, they're a 4.3. We better go. I'm like, they have a pizza that looks good. Let's go. It just, I never use it myself.
Nah, me either. If anything, I probably look at their socials and to see if that's.
Having said that, though, they really like make a difference for a lot of travelers and stuff like that.
I was going to say, I use it when I'm traveling.
Yeah,
like when I was overseas, incredible.
And we get a lot of people at my cafe and said, oh, I said you were good and you're in the area. And it's like, oh, I had no idea that was a thing. But like,
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, like until I opened this cafe, I never knew people even used it for that purpose. But,
wow.
Turns out they do.
Been in business 10 years. I never knew that.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should introduce a segment soon that's called Google Review. We'll do like a 1-star review.
Yeah, that's great.
So, maybe before the end of the podcast, we can.
We can easily start. You've got a cafe, so we've got like a great list to dive into.
Well, I've got one. Remember the infamous Lily Chow?
Oh, yeah, Lily Chow.
Lily Chow got me.
I think we chatted about her when we had Jen Fricker on the pod.
Yeah, we did. But anyway.
But just quickly going back to like it's ever since COVID, like just not only the like obviously the trade, the customers, but the talent, I suppose, or the staff is just so different. There's, when we first started, you'd have to have like 3 years on, or maybe not 3, 2 years on 2 years experience, latte art, and now like there's people that don't even know what channeling is.
Yeah.
Getting on the machine.
So like the skills are a lot lower than they were before.
And I think just because there's so many venues as well.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up next, actually. We had a clip during the Work From Home podcast that kind of established that there's 6,000 more cafes in Australia now than there were before COVID. So you would think there's a lot less people getting into business. There's less customers. So overall, we know there's less customers, less foot traffic, but there's more cafes. So the competition is just so much higher.
It's crazy, yeah.
And is this something, so you've obviously experienced a lot of your business?
Yeah, we sort of like in terms of from a coffee point of view, we probably have done more of hiring people that have never been on it and then teaching them. But it's more just recently, or say if you need to use a SUP or whatever, or like someone's been a barista for like 2 years and then I'm like, hey, that shot's channeled, and they're like, what's channeling?
Yeah.
It's like, how? Like, this is the reason why some people go, oh, coffee's shit, it's going up and it's getting worse. It's probably just something as simple as not being trained properly.
Yeah, we have there's a bit of a skill shortage.
Yeah, so
there's just so many places now. It's like, they can't all be good.
There's just too many, and they're all selling the same thing. I mean, if there's another, like, probably in the next 5 minutes, there'll be a deli with a guy's name.
Yeah, you sound like Dan Dick.
Yeah.
Dan Dick's favourite thing is
another bloody sandwich shop.
Yeah, he loves it.
Crazy. But I just think there's too many.
Should we do a sandwich pop-up called
Dan Dick's
Dick's
Deli?
Deli.
or Dick's Deli?
Yeah. No, I think
Get Dick down at Dick's Deli.
Yeah.
I think he'd really like that. Whenever there's a sandwich reel or something, and you know how there's always that shot of people cut the sandwich
open,
in half,
the squish, the crunch, the little, it's dripping, it's so moist. I'm like, stop squeezing out the moist.
I always send it straight to Dan. And Jamie Thompson does the same thing, and I think Dan's had enough.
That's it. Maybe that can be our first live podcast. We can call it Dick's Deli.
Dick's Deli. All right. I hope you're listening, Dan Dick. We love you.
He'll be listening later.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, it's sort of restabilizing now, but it's just changed now. It's just different. So,
is it music to your ears? All the companies that are compelling their workers to go back 5 days a week.
Well, I haven't seen it yet. Like, I mean, hopefully, maybe you might notice more of a difference in the city. I drove through the city yesterday, and it was pumping. So maybe, but I
still don't think it'll happen. Like, I just don't think that will ever happen. Like, you hear about it all the time. Like, managers say they need to be here, there, and yada yada yada. But like, there's loopholes.
Well, our customers just say, "Oh, I'm just going to find another job."
Yeah.
So.
What do you think the future of your business is looking like? Because a lot's changing, a lot's going on. You've sold one, looking at selling another.
Yes,
What are your moves kind of for success in the future? How are you planning to move forward?
I think we're like my brother and his wife, they're my business partners. They're actually moving to Bali.
You're doing the old St. Ali move, opening up over in Bali.
Yeah, they're going to work for Sal. But they're just going, looking for something different. So I don't really want to run 4 venues by myself. And the thing is as well, I sort of touched on it, but like we've got 4 venues, only 2 have managers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really hard, operationally it's really hard.
Yeah, that'd be
and particularly with that support system not there, I'm just like, let's downsize and just focus on making, because back in the day, it was always like, oh, let's expand and, let's have, 10 locations, and it's just not like that anymore. It's changed. And I feel like the consumers almost prefer just that one place that's known to be, using all the time instead of. But yeah, from my point of view, it's like, and probably not fair on some of the staff. It's just like you've got casuals in there that you're sort of expecting them to run it in some ways if I'm not there or we don't have a manager, and it just became too much. And we've been doing it 10 years, so
mate, you're looking great for the amount of stress and anxiety you must have been under. I was expecting a few more greys in there, to be honest.
That's skincare and I don't know. Yeah, so going forward, I think we're definitely, reduce, downsize, and just making that better. And then just looking at like other options in terms of like event-based coffee stuff or event-based hospo stuff, which is going really strong. It's easier. And it's not that we do it for this, but it's more fruitful as well. So, but I mean, also the taxes as well, like they have multi venues. It's just going up and up. It's harder and harder.
So it's like more expensive for you to expand and employ more people, sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Basically, get penalised for employing more people, but
take that.
Yeah.
Thanks, government.
Yeah. But I think hopefully that answers your question.
I have a question on a more lighter note. So one of the highlights of working at your cafe that day was that Eric Banner was a regular customer of yours.
Poida.
So what was it like? So let's go over Eric Banner's most famous roles. So he was Hector in the movie Troy. He was the Incredible Hulk for one of those movies.
Chopper.
He was also
that was his breakout, right? Chopper was like
I think Chopper was his Munich. But also lesser known, The Castle. He was the daughter's boyfriend in The Castle.
Classic.
And I'm throwing it back even further. He was famous for like a comedy sketch show,
Full Frontal
and Fast Forward. Was it because they transitioned between those two? And I just remember the character Poida. I just remember saying Poida.
Yeah. That was that's what I like. Yeah, that was amazing, that show. But
what's he like as a dude?
Yeah, so he's actually really nice. Obviously, first off, quite guarded and stuff. But he's not a customer anymore. He's moved his office. But once you get to know him, he's really nice.
What's he in the business of?
Oh, he does production.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. He loves coffee, so that was an easy like topic for conversation, and which was made it a lot easier. But I served him for like 6 years, so we got. I'm not going to say we got to know each other, but we would talk, and it was bizarre for him to like walk past me and say, hey, Damo, how's it going?
No, that's getting to know him. You don't have to undersell it here. You don't have to tall puppy syndrome. Because if you walked up to him on the street today, I'm sure he'd still be like, oh, mate.
Well, I'd say that, but
you never know.
Well, we've got a surprise guest for you.
Out of the closet.
No, but like I wasn't like hanging out with him and stuff.
Yeah, but you had a good relationship with him. That's great.
Yeah.
But do you have did you serve any other celebrities in this time?
Yeah, we've like.
Look at this guy.
But
name? Come on, name drop. This is what we're here for.
Tony Hawk.
What?
Oh, that would be a good one.
The Bird King.
Yeah. So he's where our Port Melbourne shop is Globe, the skateboarding brand. That's the head office.
Yep.
So he was doing something with them. That was cool. Sam Worthington.
He's got some real stars coming to yours.
Do you know who Michelle Monaghan is?
No.
She's an actress. She's going to be in the new White Lotus.
Yeah, okay.
Patty Mills.
Oh, Patty Mills. I've also
Mills.
said Patty Mills.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
There's a bunch of footy players and soccer players. Well, one day we had like the whole half the Socceroos there.
One time I made coffee for the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison.
Oh.
Yeah. And you know what? We were out. He asked for a skinny flat white. Didn't have any skinny milk. So I served it full fat.
Good work.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
that.
ask for a skinny mocha, the old ScoMo.
Take that, ScoMo. He was all right, though. I mean, he was nice enough.
Yeah. Did he give you a Bible?
No, he did not. So, but he's from what I hear, he does love a good Bible. But speaking of funny things and famous things, you've started a little content business recently, and I've seen some of your videos. What's going on there?
Well, I love making content and love being a bit silly. So we naturally just did it through our brand and through our business, like making, like if we had a special, we would make some sort of, weird elaborate video around it, which would either do really well or really bad. But and then Ingle would reach out to us and said, "Oh, we like your content." And I said, "Oh, we can make it for you. I can make it for you if you like." And they said yes. So I started doing all the Only Hospitality groups and a few other little clients here and there. But I mean, I love it. So I think it's really
the brief is funny.
Yeah,
the brief is keep it funny.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, it feels like they've given you like creative license with like doing stuff there. Because I was going to say one thing where I've generally like stayed away from hospitality in that because generally they don't have much money to spend, but then also want the moon and every change and everything under the sun. Yeah. So it's always the most stressful encounter for me when I've done it. But these guys, you're making fun stuff. Have they been good to work with?
Yeah, I mean, they've been I just come up with maybe 10 ideas for the month, send it to them, and they say yes or no, or that's a bit too weird. Maybe try that. Try changing that one a little bit. But they've been really good.
No,
actually.
that's great. Yeah, that's what you want from these kind of relationships. Yeah. It makes you. It's way too much work once you start getting 15 rounds of feedback. And
100%. And it's like, and what's awesome is if they just give us full ownership on it. Like we've done one, and the guys, the client has been there, and it's just on your back kind of thing. So it's not as fun, but really.
And one last question for you. Coffee with one person, dead or alive, who would it be?
Maybe Tupac. See if
Tupac would be a good one. Tupac would be a really good one.
Especially now. You'd want to ask him about all the Diddy stuff and get the lowdown.
Yeah.
Did he really get? Is that the accusation that P. Diddy hired someone to assassinate Tupac?
Yeah, I think it was both, wasn't it? I think he's.
Don't know. I'm not a rap fan. I thought it was Suge Knight.
No, there's now stuff coming out where like Tupac's estate are now investigating whether P. Diddy got him assassinated. I think.
Interesting. All right, so that's one dead person.
I'm just making that up. Liam, can you please search this and then we'll move on?
And the alive person.
Probably the guy to my right, actually.
Okay, all right. Well, there we go. We got a coffee coming up.
Shucks. I don't know. Maybe Obama.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
That'd be great.
Obama.
No, I think that you should. That was a terrible Obama. I can't do Obama.
No, the one where he slaps it up with. Have you seen that Key and Peele skit where he slaps it up with all the?
Oh my god,
all the black
unbelievable!
Guys
There's the one where he goes through like the basketball team, and he's like giving everyone daps, and then he gets to like the coaches and like just shakes their hands.
Actually, someone like maybe like Jim Carrey or like Steve-O would be funny.
Oh yeah, I mean, you have so many stories from Steve-O.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey would be more like philosophical. He's like, I'm not even real. Jim Carrey is a character.
True. That's
Man,
true.
Deep.
That might be a bit weird.
We confirmation from Liam.
Yeah, no, everything you said is correct. Tupac Shakur's family hires team to investigate potential link to Diddy. Of course, the first thing is Diddy denies everything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What did he do? He just put down some baby oil on the concrete and made him slip over.
Good Lord. Good Lord.
Anyway.
My manager, Lexi, messaged me back saying, yes, 1,000 Miles did start playing at the cafe.
Did they turn it off or what happened? Did they just play it through?
To be determined. We'll find out in the next episode of It's Just Coffee.
That's what we call sizzle, people.
Now, we're getting into the business end of the podcast where we promised you some laughs. But first, before we get there, I saw a clip that was semi-viral on the internet the other day. I wanted to run it by you guys. So this is a guy called Tom's Coffee College, okay? And he's posted a video that's a very hot take. I want to get everyone's thoughts on it.
Cares about specialty coffee. This is some business advice. For anyone looking to start up a cafe, do not prioritize your business around the quality of your bean or having a specific type of beans, because 95% of people don't really care. Majority of people will always pick a 7 out of 10 cafe that can make their coffee in 2 minutes rather than the 10 out of 10 cafe
There's no coffee in
takes
there.
15 minutes to make their 10 out of 10 coffee. The key to success in a cafe is speed, because the more coffees you can make per hour, the more customers you can then have, and therefore the more money you can make. So as a barista, you should always be looking to speed up your production process to maximize your profit margins. Follow for more coffee tips.
There's no coffee in there. It's just milk.
We just confessed he poured a cup of milk. But what's our take on that? What's our take on that? Starting with Rohan.
I mean, my take on that is I'm going to pull down the veil just straight away and just realize that dude is just trying to get clicks and be controversial and doing it. Because you can tell he's watched all the TikTok coaches that tell you how to get more views. Like, do something random in the video as you're doing it so that people want to call you out. If you get people commenting, you're going to get more engagement and get more views. So he's pouring milk into a glass with no coffee in it as he talks about coffee. So everyone's going to comment, and be like, milk. But from a point of what he's saying, I think it's obviously over the top and ridiculous. Of course, you want a good quality place. And also being 10 out of 10 doesn't mean that there needs to be a wait. If there's a 10 out of 10 cafe, I'm assuming they're going to have some pretty good systems in place that are going to get you served quickly. And if there is a wait, it just proves that it's because the cafe is busy and people want to go there because it's a good product. So it's just kind of shooting himself in the foot there. But I will defend a little bit of, I think sometimes the specialty coffee can go too far. And I think in a general world, 90% of people are drinking milk coffees or whatever, and they do just want like a nice normal coffee that tastes kind of chocolatey and whatever. They don't want some funky, weird coffee in their milk drink and whatever. So I think there's some truth to that, but I still think you need a good quality product and staff that can move quickly.
7 out of 10, all that's required. No. 7 out of 10. Damo?
I think obviously the 7 out of 10 thing's just ridiculous. I think he's definitely looking for clicks as well. But I do think there's an element of like some people get too, depending on the personality of the business owner, but some people get too fixated on the quality and using everything that's the best. And like sometimes I go to this coffee and it is the best in the area, but it also takes ages because it's it's got to be this and it's got to be that. So I think some business owners and baristas get a little bit too like full on with it. But I mean, you definitely need it. You can taste it. You definitely need good quality products.
He was getting torched by some people I know in the comments. I think he's a master heel. He really knows how to wind people up, and he did a good job of that. I kind of agree with him. I kind of don't. I mean, you got to. I think the modern consumer really values speed and just getting the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not to say you can't make a good coffee fast though.
But I would say that your cafe, Project Zero, is implementing lots of different systems to make sure that stuff goes out quickly. You've got different cold beverages that you can whip up really quickly and get them going. You've created different dosing techniques so that you can make the coffees faster and have more coming out of the machine. So you can be smart about it. It doesn't just have to be crap means quick.
The thing is, people always forget is it's you have to be. It's a human interaction based business. So if you're not remembering their name, details, their order, and your
details, their
I mean that's the
credit card numbers.
Yeah. That's the most important thing. Not not about the equipment.
I used to love it. I used to have a woman that would come in when I worked down in Snow Pony in Baldwin, one of my first cafe jobs. She'd come in every day, and I'd get to the point where I'd see her car go past, and I'd be like, "Quick, large skinny latte, 1 sugar, have it up." And like they'd make it, and I'd like hold it at the till, and she'd walk up to the thing and go, "1 skinny latte, 1 sugar," and I'd be like, "There you go," and just hand it over. She's like, "Oh, you're too good to me."
Little does she know that she's a pain in the ass, and you wanted to get out quicker.
No, she was a sweetheart. I loved it, but there are some that are pain.
And there's so many places now. You have that's you got to be stand out in that way.
I don't know. Gen Z talk about like there's funny TikToks where it's like they want the opposite. They're like from maybe the pandemic or whatever it is. They're like so against social interactions. They're like, I want the people in the cafe to not know me, treat me like dirt. Let me just get my coffee and go. And as soon as they start learning stuff like remembering my order or my name, I'm out of there and never going back again.
God loves this generation. Yeah, man. But anyhow, we've got a few more really brilliant segments to go on to. Do we start with the Hospo horror stories, or do we go into prank calls?
Let's do Hospo horror stories.
All right, let's go Hospo.
Hospo horror stories.
Okay. Liam's gone overboard with a button here. I like that. Well done, Liam. Okay.
That was just literally a text from like Kirk to Liam being like, "Hey man, can you just make like a little sound clip for the Hospo horror stories and play it again?" That deserves the second round.
It's spooky season,
Play it one more time.
Hospo horror stories.
The scream. Who is that? Is that just a sound? Because that's you doing it.
Yeah. I'm doing the Hospo horror stories, but all the rest is.
All right, it's Halloween time. Let's get into some Hospo horror stories.
Who's going first? Let's get Damo?
Yeah, Damo. Hit us with that story, baby.
I want your Hospo horror story.
Well, there's so many, but I'm going to choose one that is about Coe Coe. But we got a graffiti guy to do some like work at the Cremorne shop.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I left him to. I was like, "Oh, yep, see you in the morning, mate." Just, there was a wall. We had agreement to do the wall, and then his name was Lush Sucks,
mm-hmm.
and there was a.
Did you not see the red flags coming already?
I didn't,
Mate.
and then there was a garage door there, and I just said, "That's our logo up there, so just be careful about whatever. Like, if something goes crazy, just be careful what's there." Anyway. Sorry, I'm dragging it on, but he did a Monster Energy logo, recorded this fake fight, and put it up on, it was up on Brown Cardigan. I woke up in the morning and I had thousands of messages, and it was like, it had like Damo Coffee Guy, and I was like, he was like, it was fake messages from me going, "I'm going to bash you," or something along those lines. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on? And I was messaging him. I was like, "Mate, what's going on here?" And he's like, "Oh no, this is you wanted interaction. This is what, bite back, and maybe we can get on a current affair." And I was like, "Fuck that!
Give me a heads up on this, please."
Yeah. So he posted a fake fight, so fabricated something, and then all these people were kind of lashing out at you.
No, not really. They were just because the customers thought it was me.
Mm.
There was people online saying, "Oh, like, what a fuck weird," and his logo looks like Coca-Cola anyway. And
so you're just getting hate
like,
from
what the fuck?
Yeah, that's random.
Yeah,
that's a Hospo horror story.
It was. Oh yeah, it was very stressful, but then it just goes away, so it was fine.
Who's next? Do you want yours, Rohan?
One of the worst experiences that I had when I was working at a restaurant was there was this free living kind of couple who had a young kid that was just running around the restaurant like crazy, running around, going off. I was managing at the time. Go up to the table. I'm like, "Hey, can you just make sure that your kid stays at your table? It's just a safety hazard. We've got hot food going out." And she started scolding me for someone who's, seemed quite hippy dippy and free loving. She was like, "Don't you tell my child what to do. They're a free spirit. They can do whatever they want. Don't you ever talk to him."
Don't try and clip his wings.
Oh, don't clip his wings. You know what didn't get clipped? Next thing I know, I look over, he's standing in the corner urinating over one of the benches, just peeing all over the bench. And then we ended up having to ask the people to leave because they went, again, we were just like lovely enough about it, and they just went off, and then we got him out of there. But yeah.
Did you charge him?
Yeah. Yeah, just peeing all over the bunket.
Wow.
Who cleaned that up?
Restaurant.
Did you clean that up?
No.
Oh, my goodness.
Got one of the cleaners to do it.
Yeah, that's a Hospo horror story if I've ever heard one. I've got a Hospo horror story as well, but this one's actually something horrible I did. So I used to work at a busy cafe where, great big kitchen, a lot of people having to work there. And one day the kitchen hand, so the guy who's washing the dishes and doing some of the smaller food prep jobs, he was blitzing a whole bucket of eggs with have you ever seen it at those big cafes when they do the scrambled eggs? They've got a great big blender, they put it in. Anyway, so he was doing all that. And this guy's, I won't say his name, but he was from India, and great guy. We got along really well. Anyway, so he's finished that and he's back to the dish section. And I looked at him and I said, "Oh, mate, you've just been working the eggs. I saw you, but you got a little bit on your forehead there. Let me rub it off." I licked my finger. I rubbed it off his forehead, and he looks at me and goes, "Brother, that wasn't egg. That was a religious thing." And I'm just thinking, oh my God.
Now you've got egg on your face.
Oh, I felt so terrible. I forget the name of it, but it's, they rub like this yellow stuff on their forehead. And
we've got Liam looking up right now. That is I think it was called a talik.
Oh, but I felt so bad.
Does that still make you feel sick? Like, do you wake up in the middle of the night just remembering that? Like, oh my God.
Oh no, I feel like a total jerk. I mean, he was good enough about it. And my girlfriend is of Indian descent, so I told her, and she was like, "You're pathetic."
Yeah. But I was gonna say, let's hope at least that you learned something from it. But you're like, I don't even know what it's called.
Oh, it's terrible.
We've got Liam on it here.
Yeah, so it says it's a bindi, a decorative mark on the forehead.
Bindi.
Yeah, worn by Hindu women and members of some other religious groups.
Oh, well, it was I think I was reading somewhere it was called a talik or something like that.
I reckon that was what Bindi Elm is named after.
No.
Perhaps. I don't know.
Come on, guys. Come on, guys.
I remember when like you do little things like you do how old are you to the customers, and you get like 10 years difference, and that gets pretty awkward.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. I never, if someone asked me, guess my age or guess where I'm from, I'm backing out. No way, Jose.
I always do that stuff. It gets me in trouble.
All right, I think it's time for
we're getting into the main
section.
event.
Yeah.
So the Dan Dick.
Do we need to give people a little like insight on what we're going to be doing here, what the setup is?
Yeah. So basically, Dan Dick is a friend of ours. Mentioned him in the podcast already, but he was on a current affair a few months ago.
The Ginger Whinger.
The Ginger Whinger. We might even be able to edit that clip in post production, but. So he's been on he's been on Channel 9, but we're going to pose as a current affair, I'm going to call Dan as myself and say that a current affair has contacted me to do a negative story on his cafe based on the
So he was based on surcharge. He was charging a surcharge for the oat milk, and they're going to do a slam piece on him, and they want to interview us.
Yeah. So, we're going to call him, see how it goes. I'm just going to test that the Bluetooth is still connected to my phone by calling Rohan. So it is. Yep. Cool. All right. So now are we all ready to call Dan Dick?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. I'm just making this up on the fly.
And we're going to stay quiet until the end, right? We'll
ready?
Here.
G'day, mate.
G'day, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. How you travelling?
Yeah, not too bad. Just day off at the shop today, just doing some work, got some other stuff going on. What about you?
Having a bit of day to myself at home, to be honest with you, mate.
Which, nice 2-1.
Doesn't happen too often. Kids' birthday, kids' wives in the office. So just having got some guys over here just building. We just bought a new king size bed. So
beautiful.
That's and otherwise just fucking pottering around, waiting for this to wrap up.
Look, I'm nice. But I'm really sorry. I'm gonna have to ruin your serenity here with some news I've got for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember how you were on Channel 9 a few months ago?
Yep.
Well, they're doing a news story and actually contacted me for comment. The current affairs come to me because they know that my shop doesn't charge for milks. So they're doing a bit of a hit piece on Nigel cafes. Yeah, so I'm really sorry, but I kind of threw you under the bus a little bit. So if you see some news stories coming around, like they're gonna, it might not be overly positive.
They're going to reference my businesses.
Yeah, so they've got Nigel, and they played a clip to me about you when you were on, and Carl and stuff like that, and
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, sorry to bear the bad news, but I think they're coming after you. They're just warning you.
Yeah, okay. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so I mean, they're pricks, aren't they?
Okay, what exactly did you say?
Well, I basically just said, look, like that. The producer kind of hyped me up, and I had a few coffees that day, and I was really feeling a bit cheeky. So I was like, yeah, Dan, all cafes that do that are pretty shit.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Dan.
It's a little disappointing, mate.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's
I can understand the appeal of a bit of publicity, but I think considering I'll listen to it myself, but I would have thought in a situation like that you might have had my back, mate.
I've got some other news for you.
Mm-hmm.
This is a prank call. You're on the It's Just Coffee podcast.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh, that was good. We were thinking of this segment for a little while. We just knew that you would be the perfect person to call. And that reaction was just priceless.
Dan Dick, I want you to know that I've always got your back, and I'm always I stand behind the Ginger Whinger every single day of my life.
I was really calculating, in my head. I was already creating the my return comment for when they inevitably reach out to me. Because they're like, the arrogance of Kirk Pearson.
Well, I think your response as well, you were just like so diplomatic and so just like, look, I'm a little bit disappointed and thought you'd have my back on this. I was like, I was ready for you to just be like, well, this is fucking bullshit. But he, you held it together well there, Dan. That was a very calm way to respond.
One thing I've learned with this whole thing is that, any sort of publicity, as they say, had a few people reach out for comment since then. And I'm like, hey, look, shines light. And you know what? People are still paying extra for almond milk. So, hey,
well, I mean, it's a bit of a professional thing I have to ask you here, but do you consent to us having this on the podcast?
Yeah, of course I do.
All right. Well,
I'm still disappointed that my voice memo never made it live.
Oh no, it'll come out. It'll come on. Just.
Do I even know about this voice memo?
Oh yeah, what was that about, Puck Press?
Yeah, about after the Puck Press thing, I said I thought it was some of my best work, impromptu as
well. well, maybe I am just a pathetic friend.
We'll need to get that on the pod, and we need to get you back on the pod again sometime because I missed you. I wasn't here last time.
I'm always available for you guys. You know that.
Well, I appreciate it, but hey, we're gonna try and prank call Coffee Gangster next.
Oh, I told you my idea for him. Yeah.
Well, no, but anyway, but don't say too much because we'll have to edit it out.
And I don't know this guy. Should I be? I'm a little scared right now, like whether I need to leave the room. I'm worried about this one.
No, I think he's actually got a sense of humor. I think he'll enjoy it.
Okay.
Well, we better let you go, and we better go prank call Coffee Gangster. But wish us luck.
You're a good sport, mate.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Yeah, mate.
Bye, Dan.
Bye.
Well, that went really well.
Oh my God. Well, at the start, I was like, he's just going to be like, okay. And then it finally just cracked at that end. Where
when he said, I'm a little disappointed.
that hurt me inside.
Yeah. Well, it didn't have my back at all.
It hurt me too. I mean, I didn't want to have to say that, but I mean, I think we got him pretty good there. We got him pretty good.
That was good.
But now it's time for prank call number 2. So this is a guy called Corey Williams, is it? So he's a pretty irate figure usually, but this one I'm going to palm off to Damo. So I'm going to set the scene.
This makes me so uncomfortable.
This one I'm actually really looking forward to.
I actually thought that you forgot to turn on your caller ID.
Yes.
When he's like, oh, hey, mate, how are you?
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
Yeah, I thought that too.
But anyhow, so Corey doesn't actually have my number. So I'm not going to put it on private because I want him to
know.
To actually answer. But Damo, you're going to be doing the prank calling here, right? And
Have you contacted him ever?
Not on phone, just on Instagram.
Okay,
so
cool,
we talk every now and
Yep.
then. But anyhow, so you're going to be.
What's the place he works for?
Well, I think I can't remember, but he's a coffee rep for someone. So he sells coffee wholesale. But you're going to pretend you're a coffee rep from another cafe, and he's dropped into your cafe trying to sell his beans.
And but you're going to have to say it because you're going to be like, which cafe is that?
Yeah.
Well, don't. Just be brave. Like, mate, you've hit up multiple of my cafes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Don't be specific. Just be like, you know what they are.
Look, you know what? You freestyle. I reckon you're an expert at this. But are you good for it? Pardon? Going now.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Is that Corey Williams?
It sure is.
Oh yeah, g'day, mate. My name's Terry. Look, I've got a cafe here in Melbourne, and look, I've heard from my staff that you've been quite aggressive with coming in to try and get your bean into my cafe.
Yes. Who's it? You've got a staff member trying to do it?
No, they've come to me complaining about your tactics, and I just wanted to ring you up to say that. Can you just back off a little bit, mate? We're happy with our supplier, and look, it's just getting a little bit too much beyond a joke.
What are you talking about?
Oh, look, I'd rather not say. Look, it's in Fitzroy, but yeah, mate, it's just getting a little bit...
Fitzroy?
Yes.
I haven't even been in Fitzroy.
Oh, well, that's not what they're saying. They said that the coffee gangster has been coming in, making quite some, bold claims.
Nah.
I mean,
I haven't even been to Fitzroy.
I mean, we all like, the old, the free merch and stuff to get us in the cafe, but I mean, this is getting ridiculous. They said they've got...
What's free merch? I haven't given anyone any merch.
Coffee gangster singlets, coffee gangster sweatbands.
Yeah, who is this?
It's Kirk from the It's Just Coffee podcast. So
you motherfucker!
I hope you don't mind, but
yeah, can I Can I tell you that you got pretty close there? You got pretty close to the fire, and I'll tell you why. I had another roaster get upset with me for going canvassing his accounts like last week.
We were hoping to feel the fire. So, but anyway.
Nah, you're not getting any fire. Because I was like, I don't know what he's talking about. Fitzroy? That's a little bit, I don't fit in Fitzroy. They march me out of the bloody, to the suburb limits when I go to Fitzroy.
We needed to do a bit more research.
I'm an outlying scumbag. I just go out in the east. If you had said like Ringwood, hey mate, stop coming into my cafe in Ringwood, I go, yeah, that sounds like me.
Hey, while we've got you, I've got two questions for you. Firstly, do you consent to being in the podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. And second one, you're known for your extra hot takes. So we've got a segment called Extra Hot Take with Two Sugars. Do you mind giving us one?
Oh, I'm just off the cuff now.
Yeah, go on. Raw dog it.
Oh, yeah, all right. A hot take.
With Two Sugars.
I'm pretty with Two Sugars. I reckon. What do I find? What I find is a hot take right now. Cafe owners are stupid if they rely on roasters and roaster brands to do their job for them. Anyone who aligns with a big brand to try and put money in their pockets is an idiot.
Yeah, okay.
Operators need to be better.
Okay.
Stop trying to cut corners with a Nike swoosh.
Yep.
Stop relying on roasters to give them $40,000 worth of equipment. Have the dollars bolted on for that equipment onto their kilo, and then complain that they're not making any money.
Well, that's actually
that is a great take.
That was actually a very pragmatic take. I'll tell you what. We'll call you back another time, and it won't be in a prank manner, and we'll get a really extra hot take with Two Sugars from you.
Oh yeah, I'll come up with something a little bit more casual for you. But that was probably a little bit too real.
That was pretty good.
I love that.
Hey, but thank you.
There was too much finance and a little bit too much. A little bit too pragmatic. I'll see if I can loosen up a little bit.
Wait, well, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast. That was actually really good. So we're going to put that in.
Yeah, all right. No worries. All right.
Thank you.
Legend. Cheers, mate.
Ciao.
Bye.
Oh, what a thank.
Nearly ignited the fire. There was just a disconnect of him being like, it's not me. I've never been there.
I shouldn't have said Fitzroy, and I should have said the merch thing.
But you were thrown under the bus.
Hey, no, you did a really good job.
You did really well.
Yeah, that was really good. Hey,
I was this close to getting him going nuts.
Yeah, I reckon I would have cracked under the pressure of when he was like, as soon as he was like, I haven't been to Fitzroy. But then you started going, well, I'm getting merch. I'm getting singlets. I'm getting headbands.
I was waiting for you to add a few more things to there. I'm getting singlets. I'm getting underwear. I'm getting socks. I'm getting your cards.
Oh, Dan Dick's one that's priceless.
That was
is Woody going to knock over the gear here?
Yeah. Hang on, let me get Woody. So I've got the dog.
All right. Or just be careful of the headphone jack. All right, we've got our last two segments coming up. So firstly, we've got rapid fire questions where I ask you 20 questions in 1 minute and you need to answer them as quickly as you can. So Liam, press that button.
Hey, it's just questions.
We ready?
We ready.
All right.
And your time starts now.
Espresso or filter?
Espresso.
Tony Stark or Captain America?
Tony Stark.
Favorite bread?
Bagels.
Seinfeld or 2.5 Men?
Seinfeld.
First date, where do you take them?
Local wine bar.
Instant or McDonald's coffee?
McDonald's.
Goku versus Superman, who wins?
I missed the first one, sorry.
Goku versus Superman, who wins?
Superman.
Favorite Pokemon game?
No, don't know anything about Pokemon, sorry.
Do you love Italians?
Yes, their coffee sucks though.
Favorite video game?
GTA.
Xiaolongbao or ravioli?
Ravioli.
What's your coffee order?
Long black.
Kirk or Rohan?
Kirk, because he got me on here.
Croissant or cake?
Cake.
What's the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
I like to swallow.
Oh, God.
Favorite Disney film? No, you did pretty good. You
got stumped by favorite bread.
Yeah. Well, bagel was a good answer, though.
Well, sourdough's good, but it's just, I don't know.
Sometimes,
There's so many
sometimes you need a
breads.
hacksaw to get into
So
it.
many
I love it.
breads.
It's just overplayed at the moment. The problem with the sourdough is it's got to be fresh that day. When you cut that fresh with a bit of butter on it, great. After a day of sitting there, you're like, I'm done with
I'll
it.
tell you what, you doubled down on Rowan's hot take about Italians in there.
I was just there and I did a hot take where I was like, coffee there sucks because they need to make it accessible for everyone, poor and rich. So it's €1 and so it's terrible.
Right.
And I got roasted for that. So it was a very fitting response.
Mate, the coffee's shocking.
Whoa. Okay. Well, I'm actually the resident Italian on the podcast.
Oh my God. Have we
I'm
ordered the
gonna-
23andMe test?
Not yet, but I've recently found out I'm 6.25% Italian. So I mean,
Boo.
yeah, very offended.
But also, what was the question that you had there? Oh, Kirk or Rohan. Mate, you don't suck up to the person who's brought you there. You suck up to the one who can go that next step, the one that you don't know.
Rowan's going to take you places.
I was in the zone.
But it's a 30-degree day here. And, the atmosphere, it's quite warm.
It's 35, isn't it?
It's going to get 35. I'm starting to sweat. It's getting quite gross in this studio. You're beating.
You are beating.
You are like...
Especially after those prank
you got
calls.
some armpit sweat going on there. It's getting real, Todd. I think it's time for an extra hot take with 2 sugars.
Woo!
My hot take is that when we have this many segments, we should probably sub out other ones.
Okay, yeah, all right. Well, I mean...
If we do the Hospo horror stories, I reckon we sub out the hot takes. That's my hot take for the week.
Is that actually?
No, it isn't. My actual hot take is... drinking at brunch sucks. I don't know why people want to celebrate getting smashed at brunch. It is the worst experience ever. Maybe good at the moment, but then you get home, it's like 11 a.m., 12 p.m., and you're done for the day. You got to have a nap. And even if you are awake, you're not being productive, you're not getting the things that you need to get done on the weekend, save it to the nighttime. At least then you just go into bed and the day's over. Brunch drinking just ruins your weekend.
Damo, what's your take on that? It looks like you want to knock him out for saying such a blasphemous thing.
My hot take is...
Well, are you saying your hot take now? Because if you are, you got to stare down the barrel of the camera.
He wanted some feedback on my thoughts.
We're responding to his hot take first, which is that I like the vibe. It's often like woo girls that do it, like woo, having a Bloody Mary and stuff like that.
How early? Like, what do you...
I'm saying brunch is probably a 10 till midday kind of thing.
No, 10 is too early to drink anything.
Yeah, and it's more in the States, but like it's a huge thing over there where it's like the brunch, like you get mimosas, you get bottomless mimosas and champagne and that. If it's like a late lunch, like if you're getting out to like a 2 p.m. lunch and you're doing whatever, fine. But like that 10 a.m., you get home and it's like midday or 1 and you're like, I'm done. I'm cooked. Put a fork in me.
Well, if you're going with your hot take with 2 sugars, just stare down to the middle of the camera while you're saying your hot take with 2 sugars.
My hot take with 2 sugars is magics are shit.
Oh, all right. Okay, we've had this one before. I call them the ashtray, but please explain.
What is a magic?
Double ristretto, 3/4 flat white.
So a really strong flat white, essentially.
Right.
So why they shit?
Well, they're not. I just feel like they're just very like. I don't know. They're just sort of like a drink that's been. It's the marketing thing. I don't know. I feel like it's just so. And at the moment, we're getting heaps of them, which they're not shit, but I just think they're just completely over the top.
I don't mind. I actually like the magic, especially if you're going to something that's going to be like, I don't order it. I don't care. I'm just like very basic. I'll be like espresso, long black or flat white, whatever. But from a standpoint, especially if you're using a dark, like a medium roast that's more chocolatey and whatever, getting that shorter yield from it is actually going to make it a lot sweeter, a lot more concentrated and that kind of thing. Then to pair with that milk, I feel like you get a stronger flavor. It's not too milky and it's quite good. I wouldn't want it with like crazy, like a lighter roast or a more fruity roast or that kind of thing. But if you're working with a just straight chocolatey roast, magic I can get around.
Yeah, okay. It's the business person. And I've said this on the podcast before. It's like someone's visiting from Sydney, like, oh, you got to try the magic. And then, they're taking their colleagues. It's like, oh, yeah, it's the magic. It's like, oh, this is the magic. But yeah.
It's no better than it's a flat white.
It's a really strong coffee. Yeah. It's a really strong flat white. So are you guys okay if I do my extra hot take with 2 sugars now?
Hit me, baby.
And I feel very passionately about this one.
Ooh. Passionate.
My extra hot take with 2 sugars is iced lattes should be served in these and not these.
Yes.
So let me explain. If you're going to, if you're having, so this is a cup that we've just started using, Eco Brewster cup, by the way. It's got the sippy lid. Use a nice straw as well. We use sugarcane straws at my cafe. But the experience is getting a large cup, getting 2 shots of coffee if it's an iced latte, and then, lots of ice. I like lots of ice. And then just, it's the comfort, it's the functionality of having it out of this. If you have it out of this, it's just, the experience just isn't the same.
No, why do people do that? Is
I don't know.
To save getting another
I don't know,
cup
but
maybe?
some people actually, some customers actually ask me for this,
Yeah,
like one a
that's
day.
weird,
And it's I don't back that. You got to watch out for those people. But
you know what I'd love to do as a test? I would love to fill up a normal takeaway cup with a normal latte, fill that cup with ice, and then pour it in to see if it's like the same ratio of coffee to milk once you have that filled with ice.
Perhaps.
But you know what I mean? Like the argument of that being the smaller size, it's too much milk in that or whatever. But once you have all the ice in there, maybe the ratios are spot on.
I just enjoy drinking iced coffee. There's so much more out of this. So whether it's a cold brew or an iced latte, iced long black,
You feel
name it.
sexier, I reckon.
You feel sexier.
Yeah,
That's right. It's
yeah.
like Sabrina Carpenter walking down with
My argument would be from me saying, like, as someone who can have, a small amount of milk, it might be too milky. But that's why I'm interested to be like, maybe it's not. But as an overall experience of that cup, yeah, absolutely.
But you
I love
can get
that.
soy milk or almond milk or whatever.
But any form of milk, I don't want that much of it.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, that was my extra hot take with 2 sugars for the week. And
that's a great hot take.
I
And I
stand by
think,
it.
and chuck it over here. Everyone loves the old ice jingle in these bad boys.
Yeah. I see all the TikTok videos about it. People are making they make their coffee with a huge ice things, like the drinks. So
I also feel with the paper one, if you put ice in it, the condensation on the outside kind of breaks down the cup. It ends up going a bit like soft. She breaks down.
We don't like that, but. That just about wraps us up for this week, guys.
What an episode. Thank you so much. There was just so much fun stuff to get to. We ran pretty long on that, but hey, extra content for you guys on your drive, in your commute to work. You get to listen to us dumbos yapping away.
Well, and if you're one of my contacts in my phone, look out. You could be getting a prank call. So
the prank call segment is here.
I want to do an episode where we just prank call people.
Okay.
We can probably arrange that in the future. Yeah.
Well, maybe, if we ever start like the Patreon or whatever, so we can actually get some money for spending hours of our lives doing this thing. Maybe that can be some of our special content that we create for people, where we just do a prank call episode of pranking people. That's where you should get it, on our Patreons, where you get all the inside goss from the industry. Not for the free listeners, but we get all the dirt out in the Patreon episodes.
Yeah, okay.
But thank you for coming back. Where can people coming in?
Yeah, okay.
I hope you do come back.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
So Coe Coe, obviously all the usual socials. So it's with an E, so it's COEANDCOE, and then we've got another venue called Frontside Food and Wine. So on all the socials.
No, well, thank you so much for spending the time and coming down.
Thanks so much for coming onto the podcast. And quick thank you to Dan and Corey, who also participated in the podcast indirectly. They're very good sports there. We like that. We'll pay that.
Now, in that, talking about Hospo horror stories, we've got hot takes. Send them in. Hit us up on our socials. It's Just Coffee Pod, or send us an email at hello@itsjustcoffeepod.com. We'd love to hear from you. We're getting lots of lovely, nice messages popping through in there. So it's nice finally, starting to hear from everyone. We had some backlogged episodes for a while, so we're up to speed now. This is coming out pretty live. This will be coming out next week.
Beautiful.
So we're 1 week behind prior, so all the news is hot off the press.
Can I add something to?
No,
even though you've gone
you've
over?
had your time.
I just want to thank you for having me on.
He's complimenting me and I'm shutting him down.
No, because there's been there's a lot. You've had a lot of people on that I respect in the industry, and I think it's an industry that I love a lot, and there's not a lot of people covering the industry and what it's about. So thank you. I appreciate it. I'm very grateful.
I was very, very, very appreciative of those words.
If there's something I love more than just a funny guy, it's a funny guy that when it comes to it can be very genuine and lovely. Thank you for coming by. I appreciate you giving your time, and it was a pleasure having you on the show. Oh, you leant in the mic like you were going to say something.
No,
You're just coming up.
we'll
We'll just finish on honor. I'm Rohan Cooke.
And I'm Kirk Pearson.
And it's just coffee.
Woo. Dan Dick.
Oh, mate.